what's the best thing that I can do for my son or daughter or
Right.
spouse or loved one who's struggling with addiction? What are your initial thoughts or impressions on the topic, Father?
Yeah, I think as you said, there's a lot of different ways to go. There's that direct question, like what can I do to help, right? And oftentimes, like addicts are unpredictable people, and so we want to try to figure out like what can I do to fix this. Oftentimes, my answer to that, and it's just my answer, is the best thing you can do is not get in the way of them hitting bottom, like because so often we try to rescue and we try to minimize consequences, and we don't like seeing people get hurt, but too often, very often, people don't get help until they see they need it. Like I've seen men not get help until they got divorced, sort of always like I'm always being forgiven. Or sometimes I just had this conversation the other day. Like the biggest obstacle to recovery sometimes is like a very forgiving, holy Catholic spouse, because like they're always forgiving and they're always, making sacrifices. And then the addict never really realizes how bad their problem is. There's actually started recovery in Al-Anon, and I started going to Al-Anon meetings, and they use this meditation book called The Courage to Change. I think the one we were using is Courage to Change 2, and there's a couple of stories in there. Like I think one of them is like, like the alcoholic who goes and drives and then parks his car in the lawn and, stumbles into the house. And then his spouse wakes up and realizes the car's in the lawn. And so she immediately puts it in the garage, and because she doesn't want the neighbors to find out. And then the next day, she sort of like lets her husband have it for leaving the car in the lawn. And he's like, what are you talking about? The car's in the garage. And so like it doesn't go anywhere because like she's saving him from consequences. But then he doesn't actually believe her that the problem was there. Another story that always sits with me is it's on detaching with love. And it's kind of the story of like the alcoholic who's always like drinking, getting drunk, going to bed, falling out of bed, wife like gets him up, puts him back in bed, tucks him in, resenting the whole thing all the while, and then like this person's meditation was basically like that she started just like throwing a blanket over him on the floor. And so like, I'm not going to take ownership for your behavior, but I'll love you enough to put a blanket on you and you can sleep on the floor because you fell on the floor. And that was, it was an image that I found kind of helpful. I'm one of those people who grew up in a family where addiction was present. And I learned inherently a couple of skills. Like I learned to read everybody's micro expressions and try to figure out what's really going on with everyone. And that's a skill. It's also a liability. Mm-hmm. Like I would say growing up in an alcoholic family system or any kind of addicted family system is a place where you're kind of like those superheroes where you watch superhero origin stories and they have to figure out how to use their superpowers and they're really clumsy about it. And Superman's like burning houses down while he's trying to figure out how to control it. It's kind of like that because you have these skills to be able to really listen, to be able to kind of discern what's going on inside of someone, to see behind their masks. Those are all skills that can be used for the good. They also, when they're not honed, they lead to paranoia, not trusting anybody, like over criticism of people, resentments. Like it can lead to all kinds of other things when they're not honed. And sometimes doing Al-Anon recovery or ACOA recovery or any kind of a non-program recovery is really like honing those skills so that we can use them for the good. Yeah. And they don't become and they're not liabilities anymore.